Is abortion murder or not? This is a very worldwide controversial topic that has no definite answer, but from the information I collected, I have concluded that it is murder to some degree. Abortion is the intentional termination of pregnancy after conception, or in other words, it is killing an unborn developing mammal before it is born. This unborn developing mammal is called a fetus. Do not get confused later on. A fetus is considered a fetus when the embryo is 8 weeks of age and when the major organs have become developing. One of the great questions in life is, when does life begin? Is it right after conception or birth? No one really knows, but there is research from scientists that may put light on this topic. With the technology we have during this time period, we are able to comprehend more of the development of a fetus inside a womb. Right after conception, the cells start multiplying and creating the embryo inside the womb. During the next 8 weeks after conception, the embryo is considered or becomes a fetus. Now the fetus has legs, hand, and the brain, and lungs just begin to develop. A 20-week-old fetus is formed in many ways, including it can feel pain, it has a complete skeleton and working reflexes after 42 days, electrical brain wave patterns that can be recorded after 43 days, and the appearance of a miniature baby at 49 days can be seen with complete fingers, toes, and ears. At this time, all organs are functioning, including the stomach, kidney, liver, brain, and all systems are intact at 56 days. By 20 weeks, the unborn child has hair and working vocal cords, grabs with her hands, kicks, sucks her thumb, and is around 8 inches. When the pregnant mother hits 24 weeks, the fetus is considered viable at this point. Viable means capable of living outside the womb. If a baby is born at 24 weeks, it only has 50% viability. Many people didn't believe that a baby could survive at 24 weeks, but there are videos of premature babies being born at 24 weeks. Also, many people would expect major birth defects or other complications, but that is not so. If they survive and are lucky, the baby will grow up healthy, but of course they will need to stay in the hospital for exams to make sure there is no danger for the baby. So this proves that babies are capable of living at 24 weeks, making them alive. There are many ways of having an abortion, but depending on what trimester the mother is in, the procedure might differ. One of the most common procedures is salt poisoning, which is used after 16 weeks. When there is enough fluid, a long needle is used to inject a salt solution in the womb. It takes about an hour for the baby to die from poison, also burning the outer skin of the unborn baby, and in the time frame of 24 hours, labor will set in. Later, the mother will give birth to a dead baby or a dying baby if it's still alive. It is left to die or given to adoption with complications. Many people don't know, but having an abortion doesn't mean it always works. For example, look at Jana James's birth story. It first began when Jana's mother, a 17-year-old girl who was not ready to have a child, decided to have a saline abortion in the third trimester. Gina spent over 18 hours in the solution, but eventually forced a birth. Delivered at just 2 pounds, she was put up for adoption. At a very early age, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy as a result of saline burning, and her foster parents were told that basic tasks such as walking and talking would be incredibly difficult for her. However, Gina hasn't let this stop her. Through her muscle throughout much of her life was very weak. She worked hard to exercise them and eventually ran the London Marathon. She maintains an active lifestyle and now spends much of her life as a speaker motivating young people to make good choices. Another common procedure is partial birth abortion, commonly done after 21 weeks of pregnancy. This abortion procedure is accomplished by using ultrasound to grab the baby's legs with forceps. Then the baby's legs is grabbed and pulled out into the birth canal. The abortion then takes out the baby's entire body except for its head. Then the abortion forcibly slams the scissors into the baby's skull, where they open it to enlarge the skull. The final step consists of the scissor being, being removed and a suction catheter being inserted. The unborn baby brains are sucked, causing the skull to break apart, allowing for the removal of the dead baby. One famous Supreme Court case called Roe v. Wade changed the view of abortion in many ways in the United States. Norma Lee McCorvey, known as Roe, wanted an abortion, but at the time, abortions were not allowed for any reason except for rape or health complications of the mother. For this reason, she made a case that eventually went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's decision was made in 1973. It ruled that abortion would be allowed and that the limit for committing an abortion was 24 weeks of pregnancy. With all the information I acquired, I could conclude that life begins after conception. I believe so because the embryo will eventually become a fetus and then a baby. The embryo is alive, but it needs time to develop into a more complex being to be able to have the requirement to live in a different environment. I also consider cells to be alive, and the embryo is made up of cells that multiply, so an embryo must be alive. The conclusion of my personal opinion is that life begins at conception, and killing something that is alive is murder, thus making abortion murder.